morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm saying so because I know our people are scattered all over the world. My name is Thulani Nkala. Today we bring you the man who does not need any introduction here on MPC. We are so excited to have Mr. Sibangilizwe Nkomo, the president of ZAPU. Baba Nkomo, we welcome you on Mathwele Broadcasting Corporation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nkala. Thank you for inviting me to this program. I'm also very excited to be here after our excursion to Durban. I'm very excited to say what I have to say to the world.
We are so happy because we saw the pictures, we saw the videos of you at Moses Mabhida Stadium at MK, its first anniversary celebrations. Maybe, if you don't mind, if you could tell us, how was the journey from Zimbabwe to Durban?
Well, it started off very badly. We missed several chances to board the bus. Finally, we booked on a flight to Joburg. The flight did not take off on the day that we were supposed to take off because of some technical faults. And then the following day, we managed to go to from Bulawayo to Joburg, and then up to Durban. We made it just in time as the vice president of MK was speaking. So I was there on time when President Zuma gave his speech. So no, it was quite an experience. It wasn't easy getting there, but we did get there eventually.
Okay. No, at least it sounds it was a tough journey, but at least you got there.
It was worth it. The journey was worth it. With all the challenges, it was, at the end of the day, it was worth it.
We saw you singing Umshini Wami.
Yes, you know, that song, I like it personally as a person. Why? I always compare it to Inkunze Mnyama.
Okay.
Our song Inkunze Mnyama. So when President Zuma sings that song, you know, he excites me because in our rallies and meetings, I always sing almost similar songs in a similar fashion. So yes, I was obliged and honored to be part of that Mshini Wami song on that day.
Yeah, I know people were saying, "Oh, Mr. Nkomo seems to be very happy."
I was indeed. I was quite ecstatic, in fact. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Nkomo, ZAPU has turned 63. What political trajectory is the party now taking to reclaim its rightful place in the political sphere in Zimbabwe and the world?
ZAPU believes and has always believed in the ideology of power to the people. Amandla ebantwini. That's our ideology. That's our mainstay. We want grassroots self-determination through devolution of power. Hence, when we say power to the people, we want people empowered, starting from the grassroots, going upward. So that's obviously that's where power lies. The voter is a grassroots person. So ZAPU has always maintained that power must go to the people. Power is within the domain of the people. So we empower communities by encouraging them to choose their own leaders. We don't, as a party, choose or tell people who to choose at grassroots level. We let people choose their own leaders. That way there's harmony, that way there's peace, that way there's order, starting from the grassroots level. So so we empower communities by encouraging them to do that. We respect local leadership. It's very important to respect local leadership. Listen to them, and respect their ideas when given when they're brought to the party. And then ZAPU is also people-centered. It has always been, and we believe in following what the people want, we're following what the people wish. We as leaders, we just, help the communities to achieve whatever they want. So by basing ourselves at grassroots levels, it is now then possible to harvest their votes at national voting season. When there's peace and harmony at grassroots, you are assured of votes that will affect the turnout of elections, national elections, and hence the politics of the day. So it is important that ZAPU should and will always maintain its stance of being a grassroots party.
Okay, yeah, you have spoken strongly about the devolution of power. I'm painfully aware that the devolution of power is now in the constitution of the country. So does it mean that ZAPU does not have anything to fight for anymore?
ZAPU will still fight for devolution of power. The way this regime has taken the ideology or the what do you call it, the devolution of power, it's not the way that ZAPU had envisaged. It's not the way that when the Constitution, the 13th Amendment of the Constitution was being made, it was not done the way the people had, presented it to COPAC and so on. You'll remember that it was diluted, it was watered down. All the provinces wanted devolution of power. All the provinces. By the end of the day, it was like it's a thing from the Matabeleland region, which was not true. Every province in Zimbabwe wants devolution of power. So government this regime has not followed exactly what we wanted as a people. They've done what they saw fit so that they can save their purpose. So in other words, there's this thing that there's devolution funds coming to the provinces every often. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's actually money is being change money that originated from the provinces to central government, and it comes back as change money, which it doesn't help much. So the devolution of power that we envisage is very different. It's easy. We want semi-autonomy to provinces. We want provinces to run departments, economic departments, administrative departments. For instance, as an example, government can keep main ministries like Ministry of Home Affairs, the police, the army, and all those things. But let local people have a word in the extraction of their resources, in the processing of their resources, and so on, such that at the end of the day, the majority of benefits remain in the branches, in the provinces, and government can claim their taxes fairly and equitably without taking everything from the owners, as it were, the owners of the resources. You see,
Yeah.
right now, for instance, gold is taken from Gwanda, for instance, and nothing remains there. There are no roads, there is no water, there is no network, and so forth, which is not right. But there's enough money being generated in the provinces for every province to develop to a modern state, as it were, state being a provincial, if we take provinces as states. So it is important that we go back to the drawing board and look at exactly how the evolution of power should be working, not the way this regime is using it. It's not it. It's not right.
Okay. Hayi. Siyabonga kakhulu kulokho. Let's go back to the trip to MK. What were the objectives? What were the aims? Or what were you aiming to gain from that trip?
First of all, we were invited to the celebrations. We were recognized as a party to that extent that we were invited to go and be with the MK and the people of South Africa. We took that opportunity. We went there, first of all, to celebrate the first anniversary of Umkhonto weSizwe Party. Secondly, we went there to express our solidarity with Umkhonto weSizwe Party. Why? Because Umkhonto weSizwe, we come a long way back with Umkhonto weSizwe from the time of the liberation struggles. We were together in the trenches as ZIPRA, ZAPU, Umkhonto weSizwe, and ANC in Zambia and all over Southern Africa. We were together in the trenches. We have a bond. We have a bond with MK that cannot be diminished or destroyed. We have a blood bond. We fought together against imperialism, against colonialism, against apartheid, and against fascism. Now, today we find ourselves having to fight against neocolonialism, against neoliberalism, against corruption, against human rights abuses, against the rogue regimes that were once upon a time our comrades and partners in fighting the oppressors. So we went there to solidify, to revive our relationship, to tell the world that we are here together as fighters, genuine fighters for people's rights, for people's total freedoms. Peoples of Southern Africa, peoples of Africa, peoples of Zimbabwe, and peoples of South Africa. We are together in that. We share a lot of common things with the Umkhonto weSizwe Party, dating back, like I say, from the times of our liberation struggles. So yeah, we went there with open arms, open heart to be with our comrades, and they received us extremely well. They received us with open hearts and open arms. And we are quite happy and quite satisfied with what happened in the 3 days that we were engaging the Umkhonto weSizwe Party.
Okay, you have mentioned your historical ties with MK. We know that MK was the liberation arm of the ANC. So now we know that MK Party is a rival of the ANC. So how are you going to maneuver the relationships between ZAPU and the ANC and between ZAPU and MK, knowing this triangle that might bring some conflict? How are you going to maneuver that one? How are you going to manage it?
We have no problem, Gala. We have no problem at all with anything. There's no area that is not clear. You know, our erstwhile liberators have hijacked the revolution. Most of these liberation organizations have hijacked the revolution, and they are using the revolution to their own personal gains against the wishes of the people. You will remember that we were once upon a time in a unity set up with ZANU in what they called PF, ZANU PF Unity Accord. We had to pull out in 2008 because our erstwhile comrades were doing things that we were not comfortable with. We as ZAPU, being a principled party with principled leadership, we could not stomach some of the things that were going on there. It was obvious the revolution was being hijacked. So we pulled out. Same thing has happened with Comrade Jacob Zuma and MK. They pulled out because of the very thing that we pulled out of unity about. Comrades have given up the principles of the revolution. Comrades have dumped the masses that they purport to be leading. So we have to find a way of getting back the revolution on the trail. So we have no problem with our relationship with MK Party, as I've put it very clearly, that we've come a long way back.
Okay.
Now, ANC, if you remember or if you came across, categorically denied knowing us as a party. This year, not too long ago, the Secretary General of ANC denied knowledge of a party called ZAPU, despite the fact that since pullout in 2008, we participated in the national elections 3 times as a party. Anyway, we cannot force ourselves to friendships that do not work, friendships that do not materialize. We will seek relationships and friendships with people and organizations and regimes that are people-centered, that are working for the people, that want freedoms for the people that want security, safety, and happiness for the people of Africa.
It was amazing to see that you were not the only one who managed to go to MK. And you were sitting next to Zuma. On that table, we know that it was very expensive to be on that table. So where did ZAPU get all the money from?
Mr. Nkala, to start with, when ZAPU members and supporters are called to duty, they rise up to the occasion. They sacrifice whatever they have for a good cause. They came together this time, created a fund where we all put something into. I myself included, I put something into that fund, which enabled us to travel and to have some logistics of sorts. I must mention at this point that there's also a comrade who wants to remain anonymous, who contributed immensely to the trip to Durban, to and from Durban. I will not mention his name because he wants to remain anonymous. He's a ZAPU member, but he wants to remain anonymous. So we put together the little resources that we had. We managed to get everything in order. We had a few comrades there. I was with the Secretary General and the thinking Secretary for South African Province, and other comrades were there. Now, we managed to secure seats for the three of us. That was myself, Secretary General, and Diweni. The other comrades had to leave at the end of the rally at the stadium because they had other commitments back in Joburg. So we had that, we secured the table, and the reason why I ended up sitting next to Msholozi, it was through his invitation.
Okay.
As I was sitting at my table, I saw one of his officials coming to invite me to say, President utebuya uzohlala laye lapha. That's how I ended up at that expensive table. It was quite an honor. It was just amazing. It was an honor of a lifetime to sit next to Zuma during that gala event. So yes, that's how it went, Comrade Gala.
It's amazing that MK has managed to recognize you. It shows that it knows that there is ZAPU, while on the other hand, the ANC, through its Secretary General, is denying the knowledge of existence of ZAPU. And some Zimbabweans, they say they don't know ZAPU. What do you have to say to the people who deny the knowledge that ZAPU is still in existence?
There are always efforts, concerted efforts at that, to make sure ZAPU does not rise quickly. In fact, there's efforts to try and bury ZAPU, but that's not possible. We're a grassroots organization. We still have people at grassroots levels throughout the country, be it Mashonaland, East, West, Central, be it Tebeleland areas, be it Masvingo, wherever. We have supporters, members, and branches there. So it's a mischief from probably from the regime and other organizations to try and make sure ZAPU does not get up and run. But it's unfortunate because we have a foundation. We have a solid foundation with the people. We are not a fly-by-night organization. When organization with a constitution that we follow, we're an organization that follows Congress. Every 5 years, we go to Congress and choose our leaders. So we're a fully fledged organization. It doesn't matter what the social media wants to portray us as or as not. We are there. We are here to stay. We are here to grow. We are here to expand because we are going to mobilize. We've taken a leaf or two from MK Party and on mobilization, among other things. So we will work on that. And the sooner the majority of Zimbabweans realize that the only genuine party that has survived all storms, all earthquakes is ZAPU, and is here. It's here to stay. The sooner the people realize that, the sooner they accept that, the sooner they realize that the oppressor will always try to play down the existence of ZAPU, the sooner they realize that the predicament they are in can only be solved by us coming together under ZAPU to finish this business, the better. The sooner all Zimbabweans come back to the mother party to mobilize for the next general elections, we will get rid of this regime. We are the only party that can afford, that can manage to vote out this rogue regime in Zimbabwe. No one else, none other. So it is important for everyone to come back to the mother party and let's finish the job. Let's do our revolutionary duties to free ourselves from oppression and so on.
Okay. You have said that ZAPU has taken a leaf from the MK party. What would you say were the lessons from the MK trip?
MK party, we want to say it's a new party. Yes, in terms of calendar dates and so on, it is a new party. But MK is an old party led by seasoned revolutionaries.
Mm-hmm.
People who know how to mobilize, people who know how to get into the hearts of the people, just as ZAPU does. So there's things that maybe I cannot mention right now, but as we continue working together, because we have a common purpose.
Yeah.
Like I said, we have a lot of things in common. We have a common purpose. It will be easy for us to network and to work together, to collaborate, to have a collaborative effort. It will be very easy for us with MK. And the results will show. Mm-hmm. Next year, the results will show. There's no question about that. Make no mistake, next year, the results of our collaboration, which has started with MK, will show results, good results next year.
Okay.
And going forward.
I know that maybe there are things that you cannot share right now, but do you mind just maybe silently telling us what were the other agreements that you had with the MK?
We can't talk of agreements per se. We had a caucus. We are yet to have official meetings and all that. One thing is clear. We are all aware that the revolution has been hijacked by people who are using it for their own personal aggrandizement. We are aware that there are people who are used by international organizations, international capital, to work against their own people, to maintain these illegitimate governments that keep coming up. We all know there's rigging all over the place. We all know there's rigging all over Southern Africa, because rigging is sponsored by someone who is not ourselves as Africans.
As ZAPU, as you seek to internationalize ZAPU, re-establish alliances and establish new friends, we know that ZANU-PF has established itself with maybe your former alliances, and maybe with the new friends that you might be seeking to establish relationships with. So as ZAPU, how are you going to maneuver in that difficult terrain?
You see, it is unfortunate but very clear that the revolution has been hijacked. Now, the lines are very clear. The lines are drawn as to the revolutionaries and counter-revolutionaries. The lines are very clear as to who is a genuine liberator, who is a neo-colonialist and a neoliberal person. So when we seek relationships, we are looking for people with common interests, with common vision with us. And MK is one good example. We are looking for people who are organizations and people who are people-centered as compared to personal power-centered people. So there's quite a few of these people and organizations all over the region who are disgruntled with the status quo in our countries. For instance, we had several other comrades from Zambia who were at the MK party, from the DRC, I think from, was it Mozambique, I think? So there's a lot of these people around who want a change, a real change for our people in the region. So it's not difficult to choose who the best friend, who our friends could be, because of the commonality of things that are bringing us together. We cannot choose friends for anyone, but we can choose friends for ourselves. We are very grateful, and we remain grateful to Russia, for instance, for having trained and equipped our cadres, our ZIPRA cadres. But we are not going to choose friends for them, but we remain grateful, and we still consider ourselves friends with the Russian people. Mm-hmm. That's the state of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Last year, or let me say this previous season, the rains were not good at all. And now they've been, the rains came very late, if they have really arrived genuinely. So it seems there will be widespread hunger if the rains do not really come as expected. You as a leader, what message do you have to the people of Zimbabwe and to the government of Zimbabwe regarding the people?
You know, it's so painful, it's so sad that we have had to come to this where drought is threatening lives. We used to have surplus food supplies in this country because there were farms that were working, commercial farms that were functioning. There were irrigation systems that were functional. There were dams that supplied water to the population at that time. That was enough for the population. Population has since grown up, has since grown. We know what happened with the commercial farms during the land grabbing. We know what happened. Some of this hunger we brought it upon ourselves as leadership of Zimbabwe. You understand?
Yeah.
Because production has been affected by underutilization of the land. Production has been affected because there's not enough dams to irrigate land. So that's where we find ourselves in. As we travel around the country, touring the country, there's a serious, terrible situation whereby people are supplied with meager food supplies at irregular intervals. People are supposed to be getting maize meal every month. For instance, just 10 kgs of maize meal every month per person. But we come across situations whereby throughout this drought season, some people have not even gotten food assistance yet. They've not gotten anything. Now, at the same time, there's a bill, NGO bill, that has made NGOs that would supply food to people. They've been made redundant. They can't operate. So we have a serious problem as far as food availability and distribution is concerned. We have a serious problem.
Okay.
Government should take measures, one, to secure enough food for everyone throughout the country. Government should be seized with construction programs, construction projects that will be finished on time, not to take 10 years, as is the case with the Shangane Kwai Dam. There is a case here in Bulawayo whereby some 40 kilometers from here, we can construct a dam that will supply Bulawayo with enough water for the growing population. But government is dragging its feet to sign for the construction of that dam. Now, having said that, I appeal to local authorities wherever they are to make sure that the meager food supplies that happen to come in their areas should be distributed fairly and to everyone. Because there are cases whereby if you are a ZAPU member, you are denied food. The little that food that comes, you are denied. Please, I appeal to the chiefs, to the sobooks, or whoever has authority, local authority, to make sure everyone gets sustenance, because these people fall under their jurisdiction, they are led by them. They should make sure that people get food, at least enough for a meal a day, 1 meal a day, because that's what's going on. But better still, people should get enough food for normal meal, 3 meals a day. But since we are in a position where the government cannot do that, we think we appeal that at least people should be able to get 1 full meal per day, every day. I further appeal to the diaspora, to our comrades, our friends, families, whoever in the diaspora, to not tire in helping their families, in helping whoever, in helping organizations to help relieve food stress in Zimbabwe. I must applaud also the diaspora for continuously remitting monies to the country, which some of which ends up assisting the people of Zimbabwe. We applaud that. It is unfortunate that the government will always tax everything. They will often even tax the air we breathe. They tax huts, they tax windows. It reminds me of window taxes in Europe some centuries back. We were taxed for everything, and yet we have nothing.
Yeah.
There's no jobs, there's no work, there's no jobs, but we're taxed all the same. So yes, that's my appeal. And I also appeal to the people of Zimbabwe at grassroots, in villages, everywhere, to work together in this sad situation, to work together, not to allow themselves to be divided by food distribution, not to allow themselves to be divided by politicians who want to see division all the time. People should not be afraid to join any party they want, including ZAPU. But I would appeal again for everyone to come back to the party, to ZAPU, the original party, the genuine party, so that we can come 2028, remove this rogue regime from power by voting them out of power.
Yeah. You talk of removing the rogue regime in 2028. One would ask, what is the state of the party right now, the state of ZAPU? What programs do you have in place in order for you to meet that big, huge goal?
We have a deliberate policy. Like I said, a lot of these things will start manifesting next year. We were on a mobilizing drive. We are mobilizing throughout the country. We are looking forward to collaborating with not just MK Party, but a lot of other organizations, so that we can have power in numbers. ZAPU has policies, strong policies to grow the party, to maintain the party, to sustain the party. We are also in a drive to try and raise resources, the much needed resources. We are doing that. It might not be apparent, it might not be open to the public that we're doing such things, is because we have very, very limited resources to do some of what we wish to do. We rely on social media, we rely on word of mouth and so forth, but it's not nearly enough. So that's why we were saying, please, people should come back to the party and contribute with ideas, materials, whatever they have, so that we can grow the party and liberate ourselves and gain total freedom and finally enjoy security, safety, and happiness when ZAPU is in power.
Okay. All right. Maybe to conclude, Babankom, there might be questions that maybe you thought I was going to ask you, but I didn't ask you. Or you have just a message that you like to share with the people. This is your opportunity to do so.
Talk about the Zimbabwe Look East policy. Zimbabwe Look East policy has been a disaster as far as I'm concerned. We've brought in people in this country who have no respect for our sovereignty, who have no respect for us as human beings. There's disaster going on our lands in this country. The extractive industry has damaged our environment. Even in your area in Philabusi, there's disaster there. The rivers have been destroyed. There's these excavators that destroy the land in a few minutes. So there's thousands of these excavators and caterpillars and whatnot. Caterpillars, instead of grading the roads and building roads, they're busy digging our land and taking away extractive materials. Not for our benefit, but for the benefit of the Easterners. You see? Raw materials are being extracted from this country and transported in their raw form to China. It's a massive operation going on in this country. I shed tears. One time we were in Shurugwi. Oh my God, the holes that have been left there. There's no more grazing land. The water has been contaminated with mercury, cyanide, you name it. The water sources. Right now, as I speak, in my area, there's prospecting going on for lithium. My area, I mean the Kezi Mapisa area, Matopo area. The destruction of the land will start anytime. There's exploration going on, and anytime the diggers, the excavators, the caterpillars will be all over the place. In fact, they are there now, waiting for the results of the exploration.
So you're painting a very, very sad picture.
It is sad, and there's no other way I can put it, because it is what is happening all over the place. People in Mashonaland, I think Mashonaland East, were moved to make way for a lithium operation. And they were promised houses and homes and so on, but that never materialized. So that Look East policy is affected us in a negative way, in a grossly negative way. We want to foster the devolution of power principle to be able to control such things, to be able to say, when you come into our area, we want to know how you got here, what you are going to do, what you are going to leave for us. We can't leave us with gaping holes where our cattle fall in, our livestock fall in, our grazing areas have been destroyed, our trees have been destroyed, the whole environment has been destroyed by the Look East policy. So that must stop. So we also want through devolution of power, value addition and beneficiation at local level. You have lithium, you dig lithium, you put up a factory of processing lithium in Mapisa. You put up a factory of processing diamonds in Chiatra. You put up a plant of processing gold and selling point in Gwanda or wherever else there's gold. You put up a factory in Cholocho of processing timber and making furniture right there. We don't need our wood going to China raw in its raw form. For what? What do we leave our children with? What are future generations going to have? Nothing, because the land is being destroyed by the Look East policy. So yes, that really angers me. The way it's going. The roads are destroyed. Like I'm saying, sources of water are destroyed and so on. For what? For what? You know. So these are some of the things we need to look into. As it is right now, we're writing a land policy document, which we'll be using next year. Because land is the key to everything. We have to address that. We have to address devolution of power to make sure people benefit from their God-given natural resources. People don't have to starve. People don't have to go hungry because there's drought. No, not in this century. No, it should not be. If we're a government that's caring, if we're the government that's people-centered, we shouldn't be having all these problems. We should be exporting food. We should be having a reserves, what we call it in international banks. We should not be having debts with the Bretton Woods institutions. We should not be having debts with IMF, because we have enough resources to have a surplus.
No, thanks very, very much, Baba Nkomo. It was a great pleasure to have you on MPC again. If you could give your closing remarks, that would be wonderful.
Thank you for having me, Matabeleland Broadcasting Corporation. Thank you for this opportunity for me to talk to my fellow citizens across the world. People who have left this country not of their own will because of the situation. People who have left this country because they are afraid for their lives. People who have left this country because they are disgruntled with the governance or misgovernance of this country. I say to them, be strong. Wherever you are, be strong. There is a future beckoning upon us. There is disorder going on within the governing party. There is disorder going on, indicating to the possibility of coming to an end of an era. We should all be prepared to know what to do in the event that this regime comes to an abrupt end. Let's not be found wanting. Let's be ready to govern this country in a proper manner that will satisfy all of us. That day is coming. That time is coming soon. So we must all be prepared in that eventuality to take governance and take the country forward into a better space. By saying that, having said that, I appeal to all of you to consider. Those who don't know anything about ZAPU, please go and Google learn about ZAPU from the time it was formed in 1961 to the current period, attain final and total freedom for all of us. I know in diaspora, you are dying to come back home to your motherland, to your fatherland. It is possible. If we work together, if we all work together now, we will achieve that. We will amaze ourselves. We will achieve that. It is possible. I've seen it in the past national general elections, whereby we had no resources, whereby we were short of time, but we achieved something. So please consider my appeal, research on ZAPU, make up your mind and come, let's work. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. I wish you all a Happy New Year. Protect your lives, protect your families, stay safe and be happy. Freedom is coming and coming soon. I thank you.
Siyabonga kakhulu Baba Nkomo, siyabonga kakhulu asibonge kubalaleli nakubabukeli beMathuneni Broadcasting Corporation. Sibonga ukuthi uBaba uNkomo selifisela ukhisimusi omuhle, ngokunjalo nathi njenge-MBC silifisela ikhisimusi enhle kakhulu kunye nonyaka omutsha omuhle kakhulu. Sithi kuzokwenzakala ukuthi kungenzakala ukuthi lolu kube uhlelo lwethu lokugcina lwalonyaka. Asidibaneni njalo ke ngo-2025 okankala uthi khumu